Hello and welcome to Projetez-Vous. We're tackling project management honestly in this podcast series dedicated to project management. I'm Mirvet Mtimet, an experienced project manager and PMO with over 10 years of experience, and I'm also a certified project management professional. I'm actively involved with the French branch of the Project Management Institute, the leading organization in project management. I love sharing my knowledge and helping you in your project management journey. That's why I coach individuals in project management and its related professions. I believe that understanding the intricacies of project management can lead to success in both professional and personal life. Each week in this podcast, we'll explore different aspects and the latest updates in project management. I'll regularly invite professionals to share their method and experiences on chosen topics. Project management helps structure, coordinate, and control all stages from conception to delivery. Come discover how and reap the benefits with some useful tips. I invite you to subscribe and follow for more content on project management. Bonjour everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of Projetez-Vous. I am your host, Mirvet, and today we have a fantastic great guest joining us, Lloyd Skinner. Lloyd is the CEO of Greyfly, as you can see on the screen right now, and director with a great experience in project management and artificial intelligence. Welcome, Lloyd. Lloyd, can you say a few words about yourself, your career, and what has led you to today?
Oh, thank you. And Mirvet, thank you so much for having me as well. So welcome. Yeah, it's obviously been a pleasure to be a guest with you. My background is in large-scale project and program management. So I've been responsible for multi-year, multi-million-pound transformation projects where I was the overall person responsible for the delivery. So I would have technology, property, business change, PMO, all reporting into me. I finished there doing that at the BBC actually, and I finished doing that about it was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and at first I went into some non-executive roles, so using my experiences to help smaller companies. But about 4 years ago, I went on a postmasters 25-year anniversary since I did a master's. I did a master's in information systems at the London School of Economics, and that evening I bumped into a lady called Marcia Williams, who's now my co-founder. She went off and worked for the big 4 management consulting companies in insurance and audit kind of vein. And we got talking about our experiences around projects and perhaps that projects weren't necessarily delivering to time and plan. And out of the back of that, Greyfly was born.
Wow, that's very nice. Thank you. And it's good to see that, you and your co-founder, just after all your experience, have decided to found Greyfly. Can you talk more about Greyfly and your current project and the solution that it has?
Yeah, of course. So as I said, Greyfly was born about 4 years ago, where we basically had this idea that the technologies that we'd learnt about on that master's hadn't been applied to the project management sphere. So, cloud compute, big data, AI, etc. And so out of the back of that conversation, we sort of had a vision, if you like, and we did the sort of classic create a set of PowerPoint slides. And then we were really fortunate that we got a UK government grant funding to create the MVP. So we created the MVP, which is now moved forward into a production system. The system itself is called Intelligent Project Prediction, and basically at the headline level, that's aimed at executives and uses AI to provide executives with insights to increase project success. We've got a number of large companies that we work with, and some are at the beginning of their journey in terms of onboarding. Others, are more in a traditional support contract where we'll take regular uploads of data. And then more recently, we're starting to see the emergence of some solutions around the generative side of AI as well. So I've done quite well, Mirvet. It's been 5 minutes and I haven't even mentioned ChatGPT yet. So there you go. There's the first mention.
Yeah, so that's very nice. And I was gonna say you were visionary like 4 years ago, but because now I think it has been 1 year, 2 years, project management and AI and ChatGPT are all on all the lips. So everybody's talking about ChatGPT, about how we can transform our jobs and our companies with AI. So yes, you were a visionary.
Thank you.
Aside from ChatGPT, do you know other tools AI that helped you and that can help project managers to be more efficient in project and optimize portfolios?
Yeah, no, totally. I'll give you some examples, but if I may, I'll try and contextualize those examples as well. And you're absolutely right. When we started this journey, people just looked at me a little bit strangely about the application of AI in project management. And like you said, everybody's now talking about it, not just companies and individuals and new experts, as it were, but, the big professional bodies like PMI or APM in the UK as well. And actually, ChatGPT for me has been a bit of a watershed moment where, for want of a better term, it's become mainstream. The way that we classify AI in project management products is, two dimensions, if you like. What one dimension is about how much human effort is in the loop, and the other dimension is how much computers have more intelligence or can do more, if you like, in its own right. So, imagine a 2x2 grid there in terms of, the amount of human effort versus the amount of computing power. And in terms of the human effort side, obviously, that's more akin to efficiency and automation of around workflows around project management. Whereas the amount of computing power allows you to really question, the insights that your data can have. And for me, it sort of goes back to those very basic dimensions of doing things right, so efficiency and automation, versus doing the right things. Which projects am I selecting? Which projects are at greatest risk? So in terms of actual examples, if I focus on the automation side, first of all, so in terms of streamlining and automation, there's been a peripheral growth of products in that area, and probably the most well-known one are things like Power Automate, the Power family from Microsoft, and what they're doing is looking at repetitive rule-based tasks and increasing the efficiency there in its own right. I think that naturally drifts into the world of virtual assistants and ChatGPT. There you go, I said it again, and natural language processing, where you're asking the computer a set of questions, and then depending on the data set, you're getting some responses, and hopefully those responses are as accurate as possible, and notwithstanding some of the challenges around that. I think more on the amount of computer side that's enabled, it's all about the insight and the foresight. So things like, should I be doing this project in the first place? What is the likely outcome of this project? What's the big risks associated with this project? So very much more in that prediction base, and using the power of predictive analytics and machine learning to do that prediction. And of course, I would have to mention our product in there. So I think the last area, and this probably touches on where do I think it's going is for me it's the whole area of almost the self-directed project, if you like. So think of the self-driving car. Even 5 years ago, I think people would have just gone crazy that that's possible. Now, depending on which country you're in, we have self-driving cars. I think it'll be the same as projects. There will be self-driving projects, and you can debate what type of projects might be more, appropriate for that. But I think that's where we're going. I don't yet know of any mainstream products that are in that space. So sorry, that was a bit of a long answer, but hopefully that.
I think that answer gave me an opportunity to bounce with you and to talk about self-driven projects, because for the moment I am saying in all my articles that AI will never replace the work of a project manager or of a PMO, because there is still we know business intelligence. I don't know if in English we say it, but in French yes. we always had this business intelligence, so that's what you were talking about in the beginning.
Yes.
And now we are going more AI, but
well, I'll counter you on that, and to be honest, I think I'm one of the few that possibly would challenge that thought pattern. So the mainstream view at this moment in time is, treat AI like another member of your team, as it were, so like another knowledge base, and I accept that is a mainstream view, and it's an of now view as well. However, I see myself as a bit more futuristic than that. I believe that's a transient moment in the evolution of AI, and you will start getting projects run like that. So for example, we already have drones which control other drones and all of this sort of stuff. Why not in the world of projects? And maybe it starts off with the more simple rule-based projects. So for example, I don't know, add a switch to a hub in telecoms. How much human involvement do you need in that project? Yeah. So I personally believe that there is a moment where the line between human and compute starts getting increasingly blurred, and we're already seeing that. We're already seeing that today. It's just I'm suggesting it will go further up, and I guess it depends where you sit in terms of what is allowable for a computer to do something versus keeping a human in the boot. Hey, in the 80s they would never have said there wouldn't be a guard on the underground in London. Now there are no guards, and now we have driverless trains. Yeah. It's the same. It's just early days.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and as you were visionary 4 years ago, and to create Greyfly, and it's because you have this vision, and I think you are heading toward this with your solution. So where are you on this roadmap on making all projects self-driven by AI?
Well, I think the first thing to say is even the largest of organizations can't do everything, so your Microsofts, your AWSs of this world, they can't do everything, and as on the scheduling end of things, there's a complete plethora of tools. There's about 150 on the marketplace. So our focus at the moment is very much in this intelligent prediction end, and in that space I think we're doing quite well. So for example, we're predicting at 96% accuracy right at the start of a project, and nobody would have thought that. And really, that was our journey. Our first few years was about how do you get a system to predict really accurately. Now it's the so what. So now you know that information. What are you going to do with that? So if you know what the likely outcome of a project is at the beginning, and so for me, it's about ingraining that knowledge within the workflows around projects. So for example, in the delivery side, maybe it's part of the assurance or the gate reviews or the progress reporting. But if it's on the project's not yet started, and let's face it, it's project's not yet started where you've got more of a chance to change the outcome of a project, then maybe it's part of the approval process. Can you imagine, the project manager is suggesting this is the outcome. What is the prediction system saying? So that's part of it. The next bit for me is all that knowledge in your data. So how do you unlock all of those lessons and those risks and apply those early,
Yes, yes, that's very inspiring, and because I also very desperate sometimes in project to say what are the lessons learned and how do we capitalize, how do we learn from them and go forward. So us as human, we are out to do the same mistakes again. That's something
I,
that
Well, I love this, and we have some real case studies in this space. So you know, the never-ending problem is that lessons become shelfware, and they just sit there, and they're, you know, you may pay lip service to them, but what we're doing is bottling up those lessons. We're applying generative AI to it, so we're summarizing them, picking out the sentiment within them, and then by a process of matching them to the right projects, you can start feeding them, you know, right at the beginning of your life cycle as well. Actually, we're not just doing that on lessons, we're doing that on the mitigation of the lesson as well, because, you know, lesson is another way of saying a risk as well.
yeah,
So we're looking at all of that, and it's been really interesting because, you know, one customer asked us to do that. I now tell other customers about that, and I've got 4 projects going on which are purely about unlocking that knowledge, you know, in the lessons. It's really interesting to see.
On paper, it has been always true. Lessons learned make us be faster in the future project, make us optimize budget, time, and quality. So I think it's a good thing that AI can do all of this. So with AI doing this and being more integrated into project management processes, we saw risk management, we saw many things, budget, I think, we saw also lessons learned. What skills and knowledge do you believe project managers should acquire to effectively work on projects with full AI potential?
Well, for me, it depends, you know, whether you're a project manager or a PMO or portfolio manager or program. So your capabilities may differ depending on what role that you're taking. However, I think as this technology becomes mainstream, it will be a bit like, you know, Microsoft Word or Excel, that there'll be a base level that everybody is expected to know, and you know, maybe that base level means spinning up some Power BI dashboards rather than some clunky Excel, as it were. So for me, there's that base level of knowledge. In terms of the wider piece, I like I said earlier, it's very hard for one individual or one organization to know about everything. Therefore, I would encourage people to connect with, you know, organizations like the Project Management Institute to work out what the body of knowledge is coming from there. And I think also there's 2 angles here. There's the, am I delivering an AI project as a project manager, or actually am I looking across a project, and how can I leverage AI to make the most of my portfolio? And again, they're different skills based. I think the last thing I would say on this subject is it's been really interesting watching certain industries standing up huge internal departments of data scientists and Power BI specialists and all of this sort of stuff. And I do wonder whether in certain industries that is transient as well, because, you know, there are a lot of people involved, and I'm not sure always whether this in-source versus outsource question has been discussed well enough yet. And you know, like most of these things, I think it's probably a hybrid model of both in-source and outsource. But it will be really interesting. But you know, if you're not there, get on your bike now. You need to start upskilling yourself.
Yeah. So what I have learned 2 things from what you've just said. Now, if you want to keep to date with project management portfolio, you need to learn how to work with AI and to know. So the base level, I think it's data scientist level, like doing a dashboard on Power BI or something like this. But there are many other ways to go with your company and to make them use the AI very well by being a portfolio manager or project manager or PMO. So that's what I learned.
Yeah.
And another thing is that the great instances of project management are nowadays really talking about this subject. So you were on last weekend in Nice for a PMI Friends,
Yes.
where I am also a benevolent. For PMI Friends, you talked about AI in projects, and soon you will also do it in UK for PMA, I think, and also for PMO in Paris. So all the organizations are talking about this trend and are taking the train for those who are late on the train. So we all need to upgrade our skills in AI to be still pertinent, I think in French, I don't know, on
Yes, it's
project management.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you can do that as an individual. I don't know about you. I was a relatively early adopter for ChatGPT, and I use it wherever I can to increase my efficiency, whether it's making proposals, whether it's checking my emails, it's becoming second nature. I think the bigger question, and you're seeing some organizations now setting up sort of, user forums, because it's almost, and this goes for the wider industry, it's almost like, where can you go, as it were, and it's almost like, a world of possibilities, and you have to sort of focus in and think about where, as an organization, you'll get the biggest value. And for me, certainly on the generative side, if you start thinking about where are your data sets, where can you unlock your data, and of course, let's assume that the data is of a reasonable quality as well. So we talked about lessons earlier. Risk logs, corporate risk logs, another beautiful set of data, assurance reports, progress reports. We did a beautiful piece of work about using progress reports to see whether the sentiment within the progress reports, you could predict the outcome of the projects. It was about 80%. I won't tell you which organization. The biggest thing that we found out were the project managers were cutting and pasting their reports, so there's a capability point there as well. So you must work out what it means to you as an individual, but companies need to work out what it means for them as well.
Yes, so thank you. It's very interesting, and for us individuals or companies, we need to head towards. I'm also talking maybe about smaller companies. We talked about large companies, but in smaller companies, that are there your clients, or what would you advise for them?
Yeah, I mean, our customers are larger companies for a number of reasons, but most notably, they have the data sets. So when we're trying to predict that they've got some data that we can we can use, as it were. So I think on the smaller companies, obviously smaller companies have the benefit of being far more agile. Which means that they can experiment more quickly in terms of which tools to use, but also, and they have the benefit that perhaps they're not tarnished by the history as well. So things like, one of the things that we do initially with a client is a data health check, and depending on the client, that may include also determining the enterprise data model that you can then build your processes around. So a smaller company has the ability to define that and doesn't have to go through several iterations of review and decision making. So I think there is a place in here, and I think again on the generative side, how can you use the generative to use those data, but also those workflows, those really make your company as efficient as possible. But yeah, I unfortunately we tend to work with larger companies.
Yeah, but I understand two things from what you're saying. So even if you begin with larger companies, sometimes maybe you begin with a department or something like this, or a department usually. And also, I think for smaller companies, if they do it in the early stage, they can grow better and have, because they will have a pure basis. Because when you come in bigger companies, you need to clean the data first and to do the health check.
there's more resistant. But you're absolutely right. Larger companies, maybe the initial step is like a pilot area in a certain division or certain department before you go more enterprise level. It depends on the makeup of that company. As we know, larger companies can sometimes be made up of lots of smaller companies as well. And also it depends on the type of projects. So property projects is one domain, technology another, business change projects. There is an opportunity for improving project success, whether you're large or small, as it were.
And when your platform is installed in the company, what do you need to train people to use this platform, or what is after you arrived and did all of this? What's the next step?
Well, one of the things that we pride in ourselves is to try and make as little onboarding requirement as possible. So and again, from our point of view, because we basically take a top-down view, so we're asking those very specific questions about, will it deliver to budget? Will it deliver to the go live date? Not the very detail, should I sand the walls before I paint them type stuff. So it means our customer base tend to be those people that look across a portfolio. And the point about those type of people is they're very short of time. So you need to grab their attention as quickly as possible. You need to make sure that the user interface is really, simple, and it hits them around the head with the insights or the conclusions you're showing as well. So we work really hard to have very limited training requirements. There is some, but it's not hours or months of training sort of thing. So one thing I would say, having said all of that, is that I having run programs myself, business change is absolutely critical when you're onboarding new technology, any technology actually. So sitting alongside our implementation, we have a business change function. I'll give you an example. Can you imagine you're suddenly telling a highly experienced project manager that the likely outcome of their project is double the budget, double the time? They're going to resist that statement. Yes. So you need to bring the people with you, and I'm a massive supporter of business change in any project. So
yes, so I think a lot of things you do is change management for them to change their way of storing the data, and also to change for the executive to know on which button to click in order to have the reports, and in order to make good best decision. So usually this kind of work is like EPMO or PMO or stuff like that. So maybe do you train mainly the directors and say to them, you don't need an EPMO anymore, you have this platform, or
No, we certainly don't take the EPMO away. What we try and do is augment not just the PMO, but the customers of the data. So we try and augment them with greater certainty over the data. So we have this principle in our system called guided analysis. So in other words, it takes the user where to go and look. Yeah, so in my example, it will tell you that this project is at risk, and it will also tell you why it's at risk as well. But in terms of the next steps beyond that, that's part of that more human intervention. And back to what we said earlier, over time, I'm starting to gather, what did the human do about it? And maybe that can become more automated. But certainly at the moment, it's about helping people point out where the project is at risk and why it's at risk, but also looking at that across a portfolio. Are there consistent reasons why your project's at risk?
Okay, that's good for me. So I have two little questions. Last question, it's about people that want to work and coexist with AI in project management. What are your advice to be able to take your platform, for example, and to be able to have work with your platform and to be efficient and optimized. But I think it works with any AI platform.
I think it's a really good question, and for me, it sort of falls into two domains. First of all, there's the technical domain, and generally people will always highlight data, in terms of what data have you got, are your processes in place to create good quality data, how are you storing it, how are you capturing it, how can we access that data as well, and these days I'm not too concerned. There's depending on who you are, there's a big push for data lakes and all of that sort of stuff, but I'm less concerned about that, but there's a technical strand. I think the more interesting one is the people strand for me, so like anything, you need a good sponsor that's going to help you move a project forward. You need a business change element, and it sort of circles back to your point earlier about what capability does a project manager need. For me, it's very much in those soft skills side, or as PMI called it, the power skills side. So influencing, decision making, coercing people forward. So for me, it's about working out those two. But the way that we work is the first thing we do is basically a health check. So we benchmark where an organization is in terms of answering those questions and make recommendations on how to move forward. And the lower the maturity of an organization, you can't just plug and play an AI solution. It is a journey. There's a series of steps that you may go through.
Okay, so I feel like that what I'm resuming what you're saying is like future project manager need to have more power skills to do the change management, to be able to optimize at best your solution in big companies, and to be able to accept the trend, the future, and the vision. Because in fact, if they don't go with AI-driven projects, they will stay on the side, and they will not be able to.
Totally. But hasn't that always been the way? The people with the best human skills tend to be the ones that come to the top. And apologies, I appreciate engineers may not agree with my statement, but even engineers, in terms of the leaders, need to be able to interact and convey their ideas and convey their problems. So I think it's always the way. I just think that over time, as back to right where we started, is AI bites into doing more and more project execution and project delivery, that human bit that's left will become more and more important. And you can speculate how long that will take, but we're seeing it already. So yeah, definitely make sure, as well as your technical skills, you're developing your human skills as well.
So I think that's a good way. I think to conclude, I will ask you to say a few words, but what I can say is that we need to see where it's happening. Now, as we say, the organization are organizing meetings, forums about AI in project management. So where can we find you? Maybe if we follow you on some of the meetings, conferences, and when you speak with other people working on the future of project management and AI, maybe they will keep up to date and be stay tuned and be able to be a greater project management with AI.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Obviously, follow me or link in with me, or follow the company greyfly.ai. You'll find us on LinkedIn. We've got some great materials. We do regular panels with global project management experts. We've got lots of white papers. Although I smiled the other day, we created a paper 4 years ago, and somebody downloaded it, and it was about the state of AI in project management. I said to my marketing team, we really need to update that, because that it has moved so fast in the last year compared to where that paper was made. But yeah, just follow us and, like I said, link in with me. But I think also this is where PMI and APM come in. I would really encourage you to look out for those type of bodies or the events in your area, and just keep listening, keep networking. You know, again, you know, it's quite easy to end up just in your bubble of your project. So you know, think about where you want to take things, and yeah, you know, look out. We speak at regular events, etc. as well.
I will put all the links to where to find you in the description of the episode. Thank you very much for being here with me.
Thank you very much for having me, and hopefully that made sense. I feel like I could have easily spoken for an hour, so hopefully I haven't bored anybody, but you know, get in touch.
I think, yes, we could have spoken about real case study. If I will see if maybe many people are really interested and they want to go forward, I will ask them if there are many people asking me. Maybe I will invite you another time about real case studies. We talked about it in the beginning before recording, but we didn't have time to even approach this in our I think that's the point. There's a lot of people talking on this subject, but there's very few people actually with real case studies, and you know, like I said earlier, our case studies you know, are known and trusted, but they're growing as well. You know, the interest in this area, every month we're almost having a new type of case study. I'm really excited about some stuff, but you know, it'd be wonderful to speak again. Just you know, listen, hook me up, you know. Yes, I will. I think in the beginning of 2024 we will meet again, I am sure, either here or physically. I will follow you, and I think the listener of this podcast are really interested in the evolution of their project management, and it goes with all the tools that can be with us. So thank you. I'm gonna say au revoir to everyone.
Au revoir to everyone, and lovely to meet you as well.
It was a pleasure to having you on Projetez-Vous, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode.
Thank you very much.